YouTube, the Cleveland Cavaliers have achieved nothing other than complete and utter domination of the NBA in the 2025 NBA season to start out. The Cavs are 7-0 at the time we're recording this video, which makes the best record in the NBA. And in this video, I want to talk about everything you need to know about the Cavs' blazing hot start to the NBA season. This will include a big-time recap of all 7 wins from the Cavaliers. We'll go game by game and dissect them. After that, I want to discuss why the Cavaliers have been so dominant. We'll go through their numbers as a team and maybe add a little bit of context as to what has changed from last season to this season in regards to the Cavaliers' success and them being the best team in the NBA to start the season. And the last thing we're going to discuss in this video is we'll talk about whether or not the Cavaliers will be able to maintain this level of excellent winning basketball throughout the rest of the NBA season, because at the end of the day, while they have been the best team in the NBA, I do acknowledge that 7 games is a very small sample size. So what's most important is, can they continue their NBA domination throughout the rest of the season? That's all the stuff we're going to talk about in this video. Dehave Nation, strap in. This is gonna be a banger. Let's get right into the video. So as I mentioned, we're going to start with the recap portion of the video. We're going to go game by game, all 7 wins, and talk about each game and add a little bit of context to them in case you missed it. I got you covered, folks. Now, full disclaimer here, this will be pretty long. And so if you've seen all 7 games and you don't really care about this portion of the video, this video will have timestamps, and so you can skip ahead. That's totally fine. So let's get into game 1 of the 2025 season, where the Cavaliers would dominate the Raptors, win by 30 points, start the season 1-0. This was a 136-106 win in Toronto. This is going to be a common theme that you're going to see throughout this video. You know, one of the reasons why the Cavs have been so great, Evan Mobley's increase in his level of play offensively, and he absolutely dominated this game against the Raptors, you know, scoring 25 points, 9 of 14 shooting from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, 9 total rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. By far and away, the MVP of this game, in my opinion, was Evan Mobley. And so you start out the season 1-0 against, you know, maybe a little bit of a subpar Raptors team here. Absolutely amazing start to the season with Kenny Atkinson coaching his first game in Cleveland. Evan Mobley, you know, the guy you expect to have a breakout season, who really could change the course of this season for not just the Cavs, but the Eastern Conference in general. We've been waiting for him to break out, and this looks like an encouraging sign. In game 1, Cavs dominate the Raptors. In game 2, you played the Detroit Pistons in Cleveland, and you win this game 113-101. Another theme of this video is going to be how well the Cavs are shooting the basketball. They shot excellent in this game, 51% from the field and 38% from 3. And this was a total group effort. I mean, there were 6 players in double figures. They all scored over 13 points, including a 17-11 performance from Jarrett Allen. Nobody really stole the show as far as production goes. This was just a total team win and an absolute masterclass of sharing the basketball and everyone pitching in to a winning effort, where the Cavs would go 2-0. Dean Wade and Donovan Mitchell stood out, but Dean Wade shooting 7 of 9 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3. What a great performance from him. Just a great game from everybody across the board. And this is another thing that I think Coach Atkinson has really brought to the Cavaliers, is having everybody pitch in and, you know, not have a top-heavy kind of approach to the offense and keeping everybody involved. The Cavs have really shared the basketball very well to start the season. We'll get into the team numbers later, but this is a great sign, if you're a Cavs fan, how well everybody's playing, because they're all getting opportunities. 2-0 win over Detroit. In game 3, you go to Washington, blow out the Wizards 135-116 on the road, and Donovan Mitchell scoring 30 points in this game. Just another shooting clinic from the Cavaliers, hitting 18 3-pointers on 46% from 3, 53% from the field. I mean, the shooting is just out of control with the Cavs. They're shooting the basketball so well. Donovan Mitchell chipping in 6 of those 3-pointers, 11 of 18 from the field, 6 of 11 from the 3-point line. This is his, you know, best game that we've covered so far by a lot, and 4 steals as well in this game. Just a great game from your best player here. Darius Garland got things going, 9 of 11 from the field, 4 of 5 from 3, 23 points and 5 assists. Jarrett Allen had a perfect 10 of 10 shooting night, you know, from the field, even shot 3 of 4 from the free throw line, scoring 23 points in this game. Another thing I want to mention is they're doing this all without arguably their starting wing and, you know, starting 3 in Max Strus, who has been out to start the season, and you're still putting up this across the board team production here. And again, another fantastic sign. You know, the way the Cavs are shooting without one of their best shooters, without one of their best spacers in Max Strus, this is a great thing for the Cavaliers. But again, you had, you know, big performances from Karis LeVert, Ty Jerome, and Sam Merle off the bench, who all added double-digit scoring nights on good shooting. And so, you're seeing a common trend here throughout these 3 games. And again, you could say, these 3 games haven't been good teams that they played, and that's kind of fair. But at the end of the day, they dominated all 3 of them. Everybody is shooting well. And at the end of the day, this is the NBA. There are no easy wins here in this league. And so you have to give a ton of credit, starting 3-0. Now you say, well, Dehave again. They've played 3 non-playoff teams. And so, yeah, of course they're going to be 3-0. Well, let's test this theory against the New York Knicks, who I believe, are one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. I don't think anyone could deny that. And they will go to New York and travel to the Mecca of basketball and win this game in a very close fashion, 110-104. And the Cavaliers have been excellent this season at closing out games. And you beat one of the best teams in the East here behind Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland's absolute domination from the perimeter shooting the basketball. Darius Garland, 34 points in this win over the Knicks, 12 of 19 shooting, 5 of 8 from the 3-point line. Excellent display of efficiency there. Donovan Mitchell, 25 points, 9 of 17 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3. And Evan Mobley, again, having a big night, 17 points on 7 of 12 from the field and 1 of 1 from the 3-point line. Another great sign is Evan Mobley shooting this season. He's really shooting the basketball a lot better, and it's making the Cavs offense a lot more dynamic because now you can't really sag off of him when he's keeping the defense honest, hitting those threes. Not so much of a dispersed offensive workload for, this game. You didn't see a ton of production from the bench as you would have in some other games. It was mostly, the 4 guys, Mobley, Allen, Garland, and Mitchell, but they nonetheless got the job done against a top-tier Eastern Conference team on the road. So 4-0, and now you beat a great playoff team in the Knicks. That kind of puts that narrative to bed that they're only beating bad teams. Game 5, you go back home to Cleveland and you play Cleveland Cavaliers GOAT LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who is on MVP caliber pace this season to start. Lakers are playing well this season, and so you say, well, another potential playoff team here, and you absolutely dominate this game. You win by 24 points, 134-110. This is another masterclass of, efficiency from the entire team, making 17 threes, 58% from the field. This is just, how can you beat a team shooting like that? And so the Lakers really struggled. You held, MVP candidate so far, Anthony Davis, to 22 points, and you say, well, 22 points, 13 rebounds, that's not a great, defensive outing against Anthony Davis. The way he's playing, it absolutely is, from these 2 big men, Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. And, the big star in this game was really Evan Mobley, in my opinion, who put up 25 points on 12 of 16 from the field against a DPOY finalist last season in Anthony Davis. Just a great game from Mobley. Allen, again, very efficient, 9 of 12 from the field, 17 rebounds and 20 points. The big men dominated this game. Darius Garland scored 12 points, had 10 assists. Donovan Mitchell, 24 points, 7 assists, 3 steals on good efficiency. Again, you're seeing Ty Jerome and Caris LeVert chip in, good contributions offensively off the bench, both shooting the basketball incredibly efficiently and both chipping in at least 14 points. Very good caliber offensive and defensive front court in the Lakers, and you totally blew them off the floor. What an absolutely amazing win if you're a Cavaliers fan. 5-0 at this point. And moving on to game 6, where you would play the Orlando Magic. All things considered, one of the best defensive teams in the league, one of the best, teams in terms of size as well. This team has, a lot of physicality to them. So I was kind of interested going into this game who would, come out the victor. Another really great, efficient shooting night from pretty much everybody on this team. 40% from 3. You made 15 of them, 51% from the field. And the star of the show this night was totally Darius Garland, in my opinion, who chipped in 25 points team high on 8 of 16 from the field and 3 of 9 from 3. Donovan Mitchell, 22 points, good efficiency. Jarrett Allen was kind of held quiet offensively, only took 3 shots, but did have 11 rebounds. Evan Mobley, another great night here, 14 points, 12 rebounds, 6 of 11 from the field and 1 of 3 from 3. Another good performance from Caris LeVert, who is really impressing me, personally, at doing a great job offensively of staying efficient, and that's been one of his weaknesses, in my opinion, with the Cavaliers. So finally, 6-0, we're getting to game 7 here. And speaking of game 7, this was an absolutely phenomenal game to watch. This was a very, very close game where you beat the Bucks 114-113. Again, another star-studded cast that you face with the Milwaukee Bucks, and this was a close game all the way to the wire. Donovan Mitchell hitting a game winner to win this game with 0.3 seconds on the clock to seal it for Cleveland. And throughout this game, I really thought the Cavs, record was in jeopardy a little bit. And so for them to have closed this game so perfectly and so beautifully, executing down the stretch, and Mitchell just putting the team on his back with the final shot, this was just a great showing of resolve from this team. Again, a lot of these wins are blowouts, and you say, well, it's easy to blow out a team, but once it gets to crunch time, that's where, the real men separate from the boys. In terms of NBA teams, that's kind of playoff basketball type stuff. And so can you close out those kind of games against really good teams? Cavs have done it several times already, and that just proves that this is no fluke. You know what I mean? 7-0 can't be a fluke by definition, but you also can't say that, they're just blowing teams out. They haven't been in situations where, the other teams make it tough stuff down the stretch. This was just a great game from Donovan Mitchell. While he wasn't as efficient from the field, shooting 11 of 25, that's still not bad at all. 4 of 8 from 3 and 4 of 4 from the line, but he did chip in 30 points and he won the game with that game winner. As I mentioned, this is a big time road win against a rival in Milwaukee. Jarrett Allen, 15 and 12, 6 of 10 from the field. Evan Mobley, 7 of 13. He, provided really good defense in my opinion throughout this game, even though Giannis scored 34 and Dame scored 41. I thought the, Cavs did everything they could to limit everybody else on the Bucks defensively, and that's one thing we really haven't talked about yet is their defense. We'll get into that later, but this was just a great game also from, Sam Merrill, who chipped in 17 points, 5 3-pointers, 6 of 10 from the field, big time game out of him. You needed every single one of those points as well. Isaac Okoro had a great game, in my opinion, 13 points, 3 of 4 from the 3-point line and 4 of 5 from the field, 8 rebounds as well. Darius Garland, another double-double with assists, 11 points, 10 assists. He's running this offense so efficiently, and despite having such a close game, you really did shoot the ball well as a team. 48% from the field, 40% from 3. That's going to get it done against a lot of good teams, in my opinion, and so what a great performance from the Cavaliers down the stretch to close out this game, making them 7-0, and now we're arriving at the part of the video where all the recapping is done, and we're going to get into why the Cavs have been so dominant. We talked about all the games, we talked about how they won them individually, right, from the players' standpoint. Let's get into some of the team numbers here and add some context to the Cavaliers' team stats and the way they're playing, as a unit. And to be fair, these screenshots and stats that I'm going to read you are from 6 games into the season, so this is not accounting for the 7th game against the Milwaukee Bucks. These stats are from 6 games into the season. Just keep that in mind. They may have changed slightly, but overall the kind of theme remains the same here. And let's start with the offense. I mean, points per game, you're just behind Boston by a hair. 125 points a game. I mean, that's going to beat pretty much everybody in the league, no question. I mean, this offense is rocking and rolling and they are efficient. So you are just behind Boston's 2nd in points per game, and the 3rd team, Golden State Warriors, not even really that close. The biggest reason I think the Cavs are succeeding so much is how efficiently their offense is running. They are leading the league in field goal percentage by a ton 6 games through the season. 53% from the field as a team. That is absolutely unheard of. They're not even taking an ungodly amount of threes with the scoring production they're having, but they're just getting easy shots. They're getting good looks. They're sharing the basketball, and we'll get into that in a second. But we just look at this field goal percentage, it's off the charts. The 2nd closest team is New York with 50% from the field. It's not even close. When you look at 3-pointers made, I mean, they're still in the top 10 here with 15 a game. I mean, that is absolutely exceptional. And then you look at the 3-point percentage, and they're 2nd, 41% as a team, again, just behind the Knicks. And you could say, oh, well, that's going to come back to earth. These field goal percentages, they're going to even out over time. They're coming out of the gate swinging, shooting really well, and your players are just in a hot streak, right? And that's kind of a fair point, I'd say, but that's not a knock on, how they've been playing. There's a reason they're shooting this well. They're getting really good looks and they're running their offense super efficiently. It's not just the shooters, getting hot, right? That's just way too oversimplified. And when you shoot the basketball like this, you're going to basically beat everyone in the league, combined with the defense, which we'll talk about. But when you look at this, efficiency here, it's just off the charts. Assists per game, they are 5th in the league in team assists per game. And again, that is one of the biggest reasons they are scoring the basketball so heavily and with such good efficiency. They are using their playmakers to perfection. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, even their big men are chipping in with a lot of good quality playmaking, right? Allen and Mobley, these guys are good playmakers for their position. You also have guys off the bench like Caris LeVert, who's been chipping in this department. I mean, this is the biggest reason, in my opinion. They are taking much more of a systemic approach rather than just saying, hey, Garland and Mitchell primarily, maybe sometimes Allen or Mobley, if the matchups are right, just go score all the points. Everyone else will figure it out. We'll, kick it out, catch and shoot guys. It's not just the 4 guys. They're all sharing the basketball, and that is the biggest reason, in my opinion, for the Cavs' success offensively. Everybody's just getting open looks because they're playing together as a unit, and they're playing so cohesively, and that's just something we haven't really seen a whole lot of from the Cavs in the past. It's been very top-heavy offensive, output, right? That's the difference for me. And so when you talk about, defensively, Cavaliers are 3rd in the league in steals, 11 per game, right? They are creating turnovers. They are winning the turnover battle by so much. Another sign of a great team is just, this is kind of an old school philosophy, but it remains true to this day. You win the turnover battle by a good margin, you're most likely going to win, 9 out of 10 games. There's always outliers here and there, but if you create turnovers and you take care of the basketball, you're usually going to win against any opponent in the league. And that's, not even accounting for how they're shooting the basketball. When you shoot like you have been and you keep winning turnover battles game to game, you're just going to win every game. I mean, that's just really that simple. And the Cavs are really doing that. 11 steals per game, 3rd in the league in steals. This is a across the board statistical domination by them. They're top top 10 in like every major category here. And that goes for turnovers, you know, 9th in the league in turnovers per game. This is the stat where you want to have the least amount of them. 13 turnovers per game is very, very good. I mean, you know, a few years ago that could have led the NBA, or, you know, I get it, it's really early in the season. It's kind of hard to predict because at the end of the day, Dallas has 10 turnovers per game. I don't think that's going to last. These teams with 10 turnovers here, it might, but the point is the Cavs are taking care of the basketball and they're absolutely creating havoc turnover wise on the defensive end. And so speaking of the defense, let's talk about the defense, because this is a two-sided attack from the Cavaliers. This is a great defense, particularly on the interior. And, you know, we're talking about how efficient they've been offensively. When you add that they are 5th in the entire NBA in opposing points per game, 107. They're allowing 107 points. They're scoring 125. That's a pretty great differential, I'd say, to average. You know, a lot of the teams up top here, San Antonio, Houston, and OKC, they're not scoring as much as the Cavs are, but they're, you know, still a top tier defense in allowed points per game. And so, you know, the differential is just staggering. Obviously, this is going to create so many situations where you have the advantage over pretty much every team. Opposing field goal percentage, they're 6th, right? And so, and I'm not even, you know, going to mention that 4 out of the 7 matchups they've had were basically teams we expect to be in playoff contention, right? Milwaukee, the Lakers, the New York Knicks, and the Orlando Magic, you know, and so you can't even really use the excuse that, oh, well, they're blowing out bad teams. That's creating a uneven gap in the statistical category for averages. It's skewing the numbers. The majority of these matchups have been against teams that are supposed to make a run for the playoffs here, and good NBA teams here that take a lot of shots and on the interior. And so this is an incredible feat for the Cavs to be 6th in the league in opposing field goal percentage, 5th in opposing points per game, and have all of the, you know, top 5 to top 10 offensive numbers, right? And then when you look at their, you know, opposing three-pointers made, right? Like, this is a really good category to see who's defending the three-point line really well. Some of this could be, you know, teams just didn't shoot well that night. That kind of thing happens. In 7 games, again, this isn't a great sample size for this statistic in particular. You kind of have to play a vast number of teams and different situations to be able to gauge this really well. But, you know, again, they're 4th in the league in opposing three-pointers made, 11 per game. That is excellent. And you look at theirs, they're making 15. So they're basically winning against every category here against the teams they're playing against. 3-point percentage, you know, they're 8th. I mean, 34% from 3, that is below league average. That is exceptional. When you can shoot the basketball better than anyone, you know, top tier in the league, and then you can hold your opponents to subpar shooting from 3. I mean, just gonna absolutely blow teams off the floor. That's why you're seeing a lot of blowouts, in my opinion, from the Cavs so far. When we're talking about rebounds, total rebounds, as we know, the Cavs are gonna be a prolific team in this regard. It's the big men, Mobley and Allen, primarily just grabbing all those boards, and offensive rebounds too. I mean, you know, this team is so loaded to be able to rebound the basketball. And so when you rebound the basketball, you take care of the basketball, you know, don't turn it over, and you shoot the 3 well, you just can't lose that way. You're not going to lose games when all 3 of those things are taken care of and you're doing it, you know, as good as anyone else. This is just utter dominance. And again, these aren't, you know, things that can be flukes over a 7-game stretch, right? You know, even some of the teams that are top tier in terms of record so far in the NBA, you know, they have like bottom half production in some of these categories. The Cavs are like top, you know, 10 to 5 in all of them, and in some cases top 3. It's just crazy to me that they're this great in so many statistical categories, and that's why, you know, we'll get into this later, but that's why I believe they can continue this level of success, because it's not just a fluke where, you know, they're dominating one area of the game. They're dominating every area of the game, and they're doing it against really good teams. And so rebounding is a big part of that, being 5th in the NBA. We're talking about, you know, point differential, they're 3rd. That's just what happens when you dominate all those categories. Field goal percentage differential, they are number 1 in the league at, you know, plus 9%. I mean, that's just staggering. 6th in the league in three-pointers made differential, another great category to really gauge, you know, how much better and more effectively you're shooting the basketball than some of your opponents. Rebound differential, you know, they're 11th, the only category they're not top 10 that I've showed, but they have been a plus rebounding team. And the turnover differential, this is the one where you want to be in the negative here, and you want to be last. I don't know why they rank it, you know, negative as last, but you look at OKC, who has, you know, by far and away the best turnover differential, but, you know, Cleveland's right there. They're 3rd in turnover differential. Somehow my Sixers squeaked in at the turnover. I don't know how they did that. They're awful so far without their best 2 players, but Cleveland top 3 in turnover differential. Listen, you just can't lose games when you shoot better than the other team, when you rebound better than the other team, and when you win the turnover differential by an average of, you know, 5 per game or 4 per game. And this isn't like a team where, you know, they're doing all this stuff, but they really don't have a star to really close out the game. They're closing close games too. And so there's just no room to say that this has been a fluke. When you look at the statistics that we just showed, there is zero room for argument that this team is currently playing the best basketball in the entire league. It's really, other than the OKC OKC Thunder, it's really not even that close in my personal opinion. There are some other teams that I think, towards the end of the season will creep up to this territory. But right now, 7 games in, 6 games in, whatever it is, you cannot tell me other than OKC that this team isn't the absolute cream of the crop in the NBA. The way they're playing is better than anyone else by far. And I'd even go as far as to say they're playing better than OKC. That would be a great game to see. Cleveland versus the Thunder right now, the way they're both playing, wow, that would be a heavyweight slugfest. Now, I want to talk about the efficiency of the individual players, right? And so when we look at the stats here, these are just good averages for everybody. We'll get into the shooting splits in a bit, but these are the player stats, the big categories here. Points per game, we see Donovan Mitchell leading the show with 24. And, in years past, again, this is one of my criticisms of the Cavs in years past. They had such a top-heavy approach to the offense, just can't really work like that in today's NBA. You need versatility offensively. You need to be able to share the basketball. Look at some of the best teams in the league. The Thunder, the Nuggets, the Boston Celtics. They all have stars, and the stars really, kind of carry them, but they also have multiple contributors offensively that can do a ton of different things. And you're seeing the Cavs take that systemic approach, which has been working so incredibly well. Versatility and systematic offense has been an absolute, premium for the NBA over the last couple of years. And we're seeing Kenny Atkinson employ that. And that is, again, I will reiterate, that is the biggest reason, in my opinion, the Cavs have been so great compared to years past. The way they're running their offense is making everybody on the team impactful and setting them up for an opportunity to succeed offensively. And it's not just Mitchell, it's not just Garland, and it's not just the 2 big men. You look at the points per game here from everybody, and it's not as top heavy as it used to be. Mitchell only 24 per game. I mean, that's lower than he's going to have over the past few years, but it's an efficient 24, and everybody's scoring efficiently because they're sharing the basketball. They're making the extra pass. They're taking out to the open teammate instead of the 2 guards and the 2 big men will carry it, right? And so it's just a masterclass of coaching, in my opinion. But anyway, Mitchell 24 points per game, Garland 19, Mobley 18, Allen 15, LeVert 12, Ty Jerome 11, Dean Wade 7, Niang 7, Morrell 6, Okoro 4, but he's a 3-and-D guy. Point is, the point distribution and the offense distribution is absolutely flawless, in my opinion. And Kenny Atkinson deserves so much credit for how he has got this team playing more cohesive than in years past. Let's move on to the shooting splits. I mean, this team is shooting off the charts, as we've already discussed. Between the top 6 scorers on this team, nobody is shooting under 50% from the field through the first 6 games. It's absolutely wild. And these guys are taking volume too. Mitchell and Garland from the perimeter taking tough, difficult, contested perimeter shots, still shooting above 50% from the field, both of them. Mobley, 56% from the field. Allen, 76% from the field. He's just a monster down there in the paint. And then even LeVert and Jerome shooting above 57%, both of them. Again, you could say, well, that'll even out over time. LeVert will be down to 45. Garland and Mitchell can't sustain a 50% field goal percentage. I'm not saying, Karis LeVert and Ty Jerome are going to shoot 57 and 60% from the field throughout the whole season, but I don't think they really have to keep this offense playing as good as it is. When we look at the 3-point line, they're getting so many good looks here from 3. And the big standout here is obviously, the 2 guards taking above 7 attempts per game and shooting around 40% each. Garland shooting the cover off the basketball, but Evan Mobley, man, this is the really big area of growth I see from him. 2 attempts per game, which is higher than you expect from him, and 45% from the 3. This makes the offense so dynamic, as we talked about before. This really changes the approach you can take when teams have to respect his shot. He can attack the closeout with that length and ability to put the ball on the floor and use his dynamic and ultra talented finishing ability around the rim. And so his feathery soft touch, and it's really translating to results here. Karis LeVert, 52% from 3. Ty Jerome, 50% from 3. Dean Wade, I think, is probably more of a player that's shooting somewhere around where you'd expect him to by the end of the season, but he's a better shooter than 35%. That'll jump up towards the end of the season. George Niang, probably one of the best catch and shoot guys in the league, 38%. And Sam Merrill will, that 3-point percentage will uptick. Okoro, I think he'll get more minutes as the season goes along, but he's, taking low volume, but still shooting the basketball well. And so the efficiency is just absolutely outrageous. Again, it will even out as the season goes along, but I don't think that's necessarily going to mean a lot of losses for the Cavs. I just think they might not be blowing as many teams out by the margin that they have been, but they're still going to keep a great winning pace throughout the season if these numbers even out and they continue the absolute dominance of all the other statistical categories like rebounds, like turnover differentials, and like the defensive numbers that we discussed earlier. The minutes distribution, when we look at it here, very even across the board. Again, a systematic approach. Kenny Atkinson has done such a good job of resting these players when they should be rested and playing them when they should be played. He's not overtaxing the best players on the team, which is something a lot of coaches do, and it ends up hurting you in the long run trend towards playoff time. For one, they've been blowing out teams a lot, so they don't really need to play these guys 40 minutes a game. Mitchell, Garland, Allen, and Mobley, they don't need to play that many minutes, but I think this will be a theme of this team moving forward. Dean Wade getting a lot of minutes here, but nobody's averaging over 30 minutes per game, and they're 7-0, folks. We're seeing multiple players get, above 15 minutes per game and get a rotation role, and this is another indicator that, Coach Atkinson can adjust to different matchups and play, certain players depending on the matchup. That is another sign of a great coach. I cannot be more expressive about how great of a job Coach Atkinson has done in Cleveland so far over these 7 games. You could not have coached better basketball over a 7-game stretch than he has. He's got to be coach of the year if the season ends today. It's not even going to be close. And so now, that's pretty much it for the category of why they've been so dominant. That's the most important thing in this video. That's the meat and potatoes you came here for, folks. But I do want to talk about whether or not they can continue this level of dominance throughout the NBA season. It's unrealistic to expect a team to shoot the ball this well throughout an 82-game season. It's pretty much impossible, and it never happens. But can they, be the 1 seed in the East above teams like Boston, by the time the season ends? I think they have a real shot at it. I will say that. I think Boston is by far the best team in basketball come April. And I think they will win somewhere close to 70 games. They're certainly going to win over 60 games. And when Porzingis comes back, they're going to be even better. They only lost 1 game so far, Boston, this season by an overtime game winner from Pascal Siakam. And, they're just not going to lose over 20 games. It's just not going to happen, right? But I will say, Cleveland, I would bet money that this team wins at least 57 games. If everybody stays healthy, knock on wood, Cavs fans, they will absolutely continue this level of dominance. And this is repeatable stuff. I mean, other than the shooting, you can't really account for, that level of shooting throughout a season. As we talked about, you're going to go through periods where some guys go in slumps, blah, 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 all that stuff. But the things that really matter, rebounding, right? Defense and turnovers. These are areas of the game where I see as easily sustainable for this team, as great as they are, as well coached they've been. There's no question that this team can absolutely maintain those things throughout a season, and that's just going to in turn win you a zillion games. I mean, that's how you win games. And so as long as they can be towards the top of the league in shooting throughout the entire season, it doesn't have to be as good as they have been, but if they can share the basketball like they have been, play defense like they have been, control the interior on both ends like they have been, there's no question this team can win 60 games, certainly over 57. I think they will probably finish the season as a close 2nd seed to the Boston Celtics, but that's just the regular season. In the playoffs, if they play like this in the playoffs, I don't know who other than Boston can really, you could bet on right now to beat this team. Maybe New York, you could say, looks like the 3rd best team in the East. Boston, I still have to give the benefit of the doubt to, and I think they are the best team in the NBA, but Cleveland is right there. And if you look at how they have been playing, there's no question other than, in my opinion, again, the shooting, it is obviously maintainable for this roster. There's no reason to think otherwise. And again, Coach Atkinson, whatever he's making, with this new contract, he deserves a raise. Cavs fans, let me know down in the comment section, how happy are you with Coach Atkinson? You got to be through the roof. I mean, it's a clinic that he's putting on here. What a smart and brilliant guy who's deserved a job for a long time, by the way. That's the hire of the offseason, no question about it. You could say JJ Redick. I don't know, man. I think Coach Atkinson might have that one. And that will wrap up the video. If you guys did enjoy this video, Cavs fans, let me know down in the comment section what you think of this video. Do you think I represented your team well? Is there anything you want to add to, this type of context? If you think I'm missing something, or if you just want to, give any take in general, Cavs fan or not, let me know down in the comment section. I love reading the comments, engaging with you guys. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you guys subscribe, because, if you haven't already, because we upload videos just like this multiple times a week, almost every day, and it could be on one of your favorite teams next. And so please subscribe if you guys haven't already. I really appreciate you watching to the end. Cleveland, this is for you with this video here. And so, I'm a big LeBron fan. I don't know how you guys feel about LeBron anymore, but he's basically my favorite, non-Sixer player of all time. He's the reason I fell in love with basketball pretty much. And so this is clearly the best chance you've had to win anything since LeBron left, in my opinion. And you're doing all the right things. And just, what a great start to the season for a great franchise, great team, coached by a great coach, right? Follow my Twitter, links down in the description. That's the best way to get in contact with me if you want to talk about anything, outside of the comment section and engage with me. And so other than that, hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your day today. This has been the Cleveland Cavaliers dominance and everything you need to know about it through 7 games of the NBA season. I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next video. This is your boy D-Have, and as always, peace.